what did the team want? And I would like to dive into that before we go on deployment.
Yeah. Man, it was an interesting ride because when I was at Walter Reed and, I got this vision in my head of getting back to the team and going back to doing the job, it was about me wanting to do what I want to do. Me getting back to the lifestyle in which I love, getting back into the fight, proving myself right, proving the naysayers wrong, making the enemy regret not killing me. That's where I was at. That was my headspace. So it was very selfish, stubborn, competitive, selfish, which I'm grateful for because, it got me through a lot of really difficult challenges in those early phases in the hospital. And then even once I got back to Bragg and I'm working as an instructor and I'm training like a maniac, I was still about me doing what I knew I needed to do. And once I started going through that 12-week process of evaluations and tests and assessments, I completed a handful of them. I don't know, 3, 4, 5. And I'm doing well. Confidence is high. I'm feeling good. I wake up in the middle of the night, 3 a.m., whatever, sweating, heart beating. And it had hit me in that moment that I was trying to go back to a team. I was trying to go back to a team. A team that has 11 other guys on it, most of which have wives and kids. And I didn't take them into consideration at a single point up until that moment. And it scared the shit out of me. All of a sudden, the aperture kind of opened up. And I said to myself, man, as badly as I want this and as hard as I've been working for this and all the sacrifices that I've been making to get to where I am now, is this in the best interest of the team? Didn't sleep the rest of the night. Wake up the next day, go into work, and meet up with a couple of the guys in person, make some phone calls to the other guys that weren't around, the senior guys on the team. These were the guys that were on the team while I was on it before I had been wounded. They're still on the same team. So I talked to them, and I'm like, guys, was what I'm doing the right thing to be doing? I know I can't see it. I'm obsessed with this, but I got these blinders on, which all I can see and hear and feel is what's in front of me because I know what is happening on the backside of that. I need your guys' input. And I apologize for having not even considered you guys up until this point. I've been that driven towards this thing. Is this in the best interest of you guys? Because I cannot come back to this line of work and be a liability on a team. And when you're talking about an element that's comprised of 12 dudes, every single dude carries a lot of weight, like figuratively and literally, and you are putting your life into that person's hand. That's a very real thing. I can't be a liability. As bad as I want this, if you tell me right now that the risk is just too high, I will index this thing right now and I will find another lifestyle to live because I won't be able to sleep at night knowing I'm putting you and your family's well-being in jeopardy. And this was like 3 or 4 different conversations all the same day. And the response I got from these dudes was basically the same. And it was, honestly, dude, we don't know. Like, we don't know what this would look like if you actually make it back here to the team. We don't know. We've talked about it, but we don't know. But what we've all decided as a single unit is that we want you to keep going to see if you can't make it back. And if you do, we'll take a hard look at it at that point. So just keep going, man. And that was relieving, right? But it still wasn't quite enough for me. I still had like some massive concerns. And at this time, again, I'm working as an instructor on the combatives committee. Well, we worked very closely with the SFAUC committee, which stands for Special Forces Advanced Urban Combat, which is a course that's taught within all the active groups. That's what it sounds like. It's Advanced Urban Combat. It's like a 5-6 week course that teams would just cycle through during their training cycles. And the NCOIC, the head NCO that ran that course at that time, his name's Jimmy. He was set to leave his tenure as the lead instructor for that course and go back for a second run as a team sergeant, which isn't common at all. Most team sergeants get one run at that, and then now they're being, groomed for sergeant major and senior enlisted positions. Jimmy got the opportunity to go back for a second run as a team sergeant, and he was taking my old ODA as the team sergeant. I did not know that up until that point. About a week or so prior, I was made aware that he was about to go back and take my team. And he and I had been working together for months as I was working as an instructor. He's working as the SFAUC committee, NCOIC, and we're doing training together. So I go into work, and I'm in my office, and we're getting ready to start working, start training in the fight house. And Jimmy happens to walk by. And he looks in, and I'm kind of sitting at this desk, and he can tell I'm like disheveled. And he like pops in, "Hey man," and he's like looking at me. He's like, "Are you good? Like, what's up? Something's up. What's going on?" I closes the door, sits down. He's like, "What's up?" I said, "Hey man, I just talked to, Nate and Adam and Brandon and these other guys, and I didn't sleep last night because I have some concerns about getting back to the team and what that's going to do for the well-being of the team itself and the guys on it. I know you're going back to take the team, so this is probably the best time to have this conversation. Like, what are your thoughts, man? I know as a team sergeant, as the senior enlisted leader on a team, your responsibility is to the team as a whole above all else. You have to make the decisions in the best interest of that ODA. What are you thinking, man?" Like, he knew what I was doing. At no point did he come to me and bring it up. He was just another supportive dude that I was working with. And he said, "Man, I found out I was going to go take your team just like a few weeks ago. It became official, and I'll be over there in the next month or so, whatever it was. And so I've given it a lot of thought. And I've seen the way that you've been working here as an instructor, and I've seen the way that you've been training the last 8-9 months. And I've been seeing you knocking out all these different assessments one after another. So I have thought about this already." And he and I had, an emotional conversation, but at the end of that, or really the point from him, was the same as the other guys. It was, I have an obligation to the team. I don't know if it's in the best interest of them and the team itself for you to be a part of that. But I genuinely want you to keep driving forward, and let's figure it out together. And if in fact you do get back and it's not within the best interest of the team, I will be the first to tell you, and we'll cross that bridge if we need to. So I was obviously very grateful for that. But what happened at that time, man, was my entire mentality switched, where I was motivated by me obtaining my own desires and wants. And in that moment, it was about what's in the best interest of those guys and their families. And, I'll stand by this regardless of what it is you're trying to do. If you're trying to do it for the greater good of someone that you love, chances are you're going to be a lot better at it. You're going to take it up a notch. And I came out of that meeting with him like I had a rocket up my ass. I mean, just completely and totally reinvigorated. Went to jiu-jitsu practice that night and was just like bawling people up because I was so excited and eager. Not only that, I had their support, which I knew of, but my entire mentality had just completely rotated, and I was ready to take things up to a whole nother level. And I was already operating at a very high capacity, right? But that did bump things up another notch, because as opposed to going into the weight room or onto the track, thinking about taking those first steps off the plane back in Afghanistan to beat my chest, and be like, I made it back, I did it, as glorifying as that would feel, as satisfying as that would feel, rather than envisioning that, I was envisioning, my teammate's 4-year-old son. And I need to crush this workout right now for him, for that kid. And I just felt like a whole nother surge of energy that was like coursing through my body. That did take things up to another level. Yeah.
Damn. So when did you get the verdict from the team?
So while in Walter Reed, I recognized very quickly, it was difficult, but I did see it, that no matter how hard I trained physically, I would not be as physically imposing as I was with two legs. That was a difficult pill to swallow, right? Like, grew up an athlete, was an athlete in college, into boxing, MMA, jiu-jitsu, like high octane, physical lifestyle is what I thrived off of. It's what I enjoyed doing. It's what my team asked me to do when I was on the team as a two-legged dude. Everybody won. Well, it took a minute for me to recognize that I was not going to be as physically dominant as I was. Okay. How do I bridge the gap that I'm going to lose physically to maintain my status as an asset? How do I do that? And I began looking at kind of the softest side of our business, right? There's the door kicking and the sprinting and like the high octane, aggressive physical stuff that we do. But especially in SF, there is a whole range of other activities and skill sets that make us thrive and make us successful. So I began looking at ways to invest my time and energy into those skill sets and begin building those skill sets, which began at the hospital, right? Where normally if I was reading something, it would be like kinesiology or exercise physiology or nutrition, right? That's what the type of information I would consume because I loved it. And it worked for me to help me with what I was doing in the physical realm. That shifted to me reading about cultural dynamics, geopolitics, increasing my foreign language capabilities. Like, this is what I was doing now when I was studying and reading and researching.
Hey everybody, I'm Shawn Ryan. Click here to subscribe to the Shawn Ryan Show YouTube channel for the hottest and most compelling interviews that you will not see anywhere else. I've also made a playlist of all the previous SRS episodes so they're easy to find. You can find that right here.